Tomorrow it will be the same.
Yeah.
The channel will get packed.
Yeah, he's a winner here. The fact that the winner's race, the winner race.
And I don't want schools to think this is crap free money. This is free money.
Tell them.
Sorry.
We'll say that.
Oh, no.
No, I'm gonna put.
No.
Oh, let me do that. You said, okay. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out.
Good morning. My name is Emma Wolfswager, and I'm the chair of the agency of the Committee on Academic Workforce Success. The time is 10:35 a.m. on October 23rd, 2024, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. Please be aware that this meeting is being live broadcast via the internet. Members, when I call your name, please announce present. Emma Wolfswager, here. Daniel Wong.
Yeah.
Vice Chair. David Anwar. Fred yes.
Here.
Stacy Hawk. Ashley Thomas here. Luke Schwartz, student representative. Please record in the minutes that we have a forum. Agenda item 2 is consideration and possible action to adopt the minutes of the July 24th, 2024 committee meeting. Do I have motion to adopt the July 24th minutes on the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Thompson and a second by Dr. Wong. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item 3, public testimony on agenda items related to the Committee on Academic and Workforce Success. We do not have anyone registered to testify, so we'll go on to the next item. Agenda item 4 is consideration and possible action to adopt the consent calendar. The consent calendar includes non-controversial items that we think can be approved without comment or discussion. This allows us to save time for other items that need more of our attention. Highlighted items in gray are the consent items on the agenda. We're going to take up the consent calendar in 2 parts: approval of non-rule consent items and then rule consent agenda items. Of course, any board member can request that agenda item be added or removed from the consent calendar. The non-rule agenda items listed on the consent for this meeting are 5B, consideration and possible action to adopt graduate medical education opportunities report, Texas Education Code, section 61.0661B. 5D, consideration and possible action to adopt the Social Work Workforce Study, General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 59, 88th Texas Legislature. 5E, report on activities of the Advisory Council on Post-Secondary Education for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, Texas Education Code, section 61.06641. 5F, consideration and possible action to adopt a report on recruitment of persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities at public institutions of higher education in Texas. Texas Education Code, section 61.0664. 5G, consideration and possible action to adopt a report on access to higher education for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Texas Education Code, section 61.06641. 5H, consideration and possible action to approve college preparatory course analysis report. Texas Education Code, chapter 51, subchapter F1, Texas Success Initiative, section 51.338G. 5L, consideration and possible action to increase the contract amount with the vendor for the Texas Success Initiative Assessment, version 2.0, TSIA2, Pre-Assessment Activity, PAA. Members, are there any other agenda items that anyone would like to add to the consent calendar? Do I have a motion for approval of the non-rule consent calendar? Motion by Ms. Plummer, do I have a second?
Second.
By Dr. Plum, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Members, the next items on the consent are the rule items. The rules placed on the consent calendar are those that are either technical, conforming, or implement non-controversial policies around which there is consensus. 5-01, consideration to adopt new chapter 1W, sections 1.260-1.268. 502, consideration to adopt proposed amendments to chapter 2G, section 2.143. 504, consideration to adopt chapter 10B, sections 10.50 to 10.58. 505, consideration to adopt new chapter 10H, section 10.170 to 10.179. 506, consideration to adopt new chapter 10J, sections 10.210 to 10.218. 507, consideration to adopt new chapter 10K, sections 10.230 to 10.238. Are there any rules that anyone would like to remove from the rule consent calendar? If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Thomas, do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Fadias, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, agenda item 5A is consideration and possible action.
Let's go back and just.
On the non-rule. So we are going to again make a motion for approval of the non-rule consent calendar. Ms. Thomas, second by
Second.
Dr. Wong. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, moving on to agenda item 5A. This is consideration and possible action to adopt the Community College Transfer Student Report. General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 45, Special Provisions, 88th Texas Legislature, regular session. Elizabeth Mayer, Assistant Commissioner for Academic and Health Affairs, will present this item and be available to answer any questions. Okay.
Good morning. Nice to see you all this morning. I am gonna actually be talking about transfer a couple of times. I'm gonna talk about it once today, and then a part of the major policy discussion is gonna be Texas Direct, which is a big transfer initiative that was passed by the Texas legislature this past session. And then I will give my typical transfer update. So just wanted to kind of preview that all for you. So I think that also emphasizes the importance that we are paying in terms of transfer students and how the state and the agency are very committed to this effort. So the General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 45, Special Provisions, 88th Texas Legislature, regular session directs the public universities to submit an annual report to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board that details institutional efforts to increase the number, success, and persistence of community college transfer students. So this is the 13th such report, which began in 2010. So the coordinating board is also required to collect and analyze the institutional reports and institutional performance data. The coordinating board then submits an annual report to the legislature, and it will be sent to the governor, House Appropriations Committee, Senate Finance, and the Legislative Budget Board by November 1st of each year. So as part of this report, a survey was developed and distributed to the public universities in May of 2024. The survey requests information regarding institutional efforts to serve current and future transfer students. These efforts include numerous topics, including information on the fields of study, articulation agreements, community college program enhancements, degree program alignment, as well as other topics related to transfer. The report provides comparative fall 2023 data for two populations: community college transfer students, and then students who started at a public university as freshmen and later graduated. So I'm just gonna provide some data highlights that are included in the report. So in terms of enrollment, so this data is for enrollment of first-time college students at universities and enrollment of transfer students at universities in fall of 2023. So universities process more applications for first-time in college students than community college transfer students. So there were roughly 219,000 university freshman applications versus 26,520 transfer student applications. However, the percentage of community college transfer students that were accepted and enrolled was greater than 77.2% than the percentage of new freshmen at universities, and that was 52.4%. So I think that's just highlighting the importance of how many students are actually coming into the universities as transfer students. So in terms of completion, so this includes both full-time and part-time students. So the statewide four-year completion rate for community college transfer students in the junior cohort of the report was 68%, compared with 86% for non-transfer students. So you can see there's an 18 percentage point difference in terms of those that have started at a university and those that have transferred and then come in, and we start counting them when they have that junior status. So in addition, the time to degree for community college transfer students in the junior cohort was 7.1 years. Compared to 5.2 for non-transfer students. So you can see that transfer students are just taking longer to complete. But this is also consistent with previous years. In terms of outreach, Texas Public University recruitment on community college campuses remains the most frequently implemented outreach effort. All but 3 public universities reported participating in transfer events and academic and financial aid advising on community college campuses. Orientation designed to acclimate transfer students to their receiving institution was also very widespread, with approximately 91.9% of public universities offering orientation events and experiences specifically for the transfer student. So I'm going to just talk now about a couple of barriers that were included in the survey. So one of those was the lack of financial aid for transfer students. So you're actually going to hear some more about this tomorrow as part of the major policy discussion, and specifically about the special item request that was included in the agency LAR. Another barrier that was included was inadequate advising. So for this area of advising, the agency has actually worked closely with our on-course team here at the coordinating board to develop modules on transfer, and these are intended to really help support advisors so that they can more fully understand transfer and what that looks like, so they can in turn help students. So the coordinating board, as you know, has a lot of work going on around transfer, and some of this work is relatively new. So we're hoping that the work that we're doing will help improve student success for students across the state. We continue to partner with our universities and community colleges to develop transparent student-centered pathways through Texas Direct and the Texas Transfer Advisory Committee. As I mentioned, I will be talking more about Texas Direct specifically tomorrow, and just be giving you an overall transfer presentation in terms of where we are with those specific pathways. And so all of these are really intended to help ensure positive outcomes for transfer students in the state of Texas. And that concludes my remarks on the report.
I have a question. Do you have data on, you said it takes longer for a transfer student to complete? Is their overall pop greater than the typical 4-year?
I'll have to check with my data team. My assumption would be yes, but let me double check with my data.
Start at a community college.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me check with our data team and see what they have on that.
Do you have any questions? Okay. If not, can I have a motion to adopt the Community College Transfer Student Report, General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 45, Special Provisions, 88th Texas Legislature Regular Session? Motion by Ms. Thomas, second by Ms. Brownwater. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Agenda item 5B was approved on consent. Agenda item 5C is a report on fiscal year 2024 activities of the Workforce Education Course Manual Advisory Committee and an overview of the amended rules in Chapter 1, Subchapter T, changing the responsibilities of the Advisory Committee. Wayne Shaw, Workforce Education Course Manual Advisory Committee Chair and Executive Dean of Professional and Career Education at Hillsborough College, will present this item and be available to answer any questions. The Director, Associate Commissioner for Workforce Education, will also be available to answer any questions. Members, items for information only.
Madam Chair, members, good morning. And my name is Dwayne Shaw. I am the chair of the Workforce Education Course Manual Advisory Committee, and I'm happy to be here today to provide you with an update on the activities of the past year, as well as the work related to the committee and workforce education in Texas. The WECM Advisory Committee was created to provide advice to the coordinating board regarding content, structure, currency, and presentation of career and technical education, or CTE, courses. In 2023, with the passage of House Bill 8 during the 88th legislative session, the agency temporarily paused the meetings of the WECM Advisory Committee. Workforce education course review workshops were also paused until an agency review process was implemented to streamline the approval of new CTE courses. The agency convened an outstanding workforce education stakeholders work group earlier this year to review and update coordinating board rules regarding the approval of those new courses. The work group composed of some of the WECM Advisory Committee members and other CTE leaders from two-year institutions across the state met 7 times between February and July. During this time, members provided input and feedback on several rules that you considered and adopted in July. One amended rule that the coordinating board adopted in July revised and clarified the purpose and task assigned to the WECM Advisory Committee. Because approval of new career and technical education courses is within the purview of the agency, much in the same way that the agency approves new applied associate's degrees and career and technical education certificates, the amendment clarified the committee's role in providing recommendations to the agency regarding new courses. The rule also outlined the committee's responsibility regarding the coordination of field engagement in the course review process and workshops, course revision processes, archival of obsolete courses, the transmittal of new courses to the agency for approval, and undertaking other activities necessary for the maintenance of the workforce education course manual. Additionally, the guidelines for instructional programs in workforce education, or the GIVWE, that colleges refer to when developing new programs, were reviewed and updated to reflect the requirements of the recently added rules. Also, with agency facilitation, that same work group was asked to be a part of the evaluation of the GIVWE in its entirety. I would like to commend the agency and its staff for consulting the field on these changes that were needed to these guidelines. This is, to my knowledge, the first time in my 25 years of being a part of CTE in Texas that the practitioners who used that document had input on the changes of that document. And so, as the chair of that work group, I would like to thank the agency for the opportunity to be a part of that. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer.
Any questions?
Just a comment, thank you for the committee and all the work y'all done. That's very important information. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda items 5D through 5H were approved on consent. Agenda item 5I is a consideration of board delegation to commissioner for approval of the report required by the General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 42 of the 88th legislature related to the effectiveness of the advised program. Darrell Booker, Assistant Deputy Commissioner for Academic Affairs and Workforce Education, will present this item and be available to answer any questions. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Darrell Booker. You may recall that Advice Texas has been around for a long time here with the agency. It's a near peer counselor model, college rising counseling model, where we put recent college graduates in high need, low college going rate campuses and serve as near peer advisors. Every year by statute, we're required to give some sort of report or evaluation of how it's doing. Unfortunately, this year we have not necessarily received the data yet in time for the evaluator, which is Dr. Bettinger at Stanford, actually complete the evaluation. So in the event that it is actually completed, we are asking you all to allow the commissioner to give final approval for that report, but we will obviously provide that for you once it's completed.
Any questions for Mr. Brewer? No. Do I then have a motion for approval of the board delegation to the commissioner for approval of the report required by the General Appropriations Act, House Bill 1, Article 3, Section 42, 88 Texas Legislature, related to the effectiveness of the Advised Texas Program?
So moved.
Ms. Thomas, second by Mr. Anwar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item 5J, the report on activities of the Applied Texas Advisory Committee. Dr. Beverly Woodson, co-chair of the Applied Texas Advisory Committee and Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management and Director of Texas State Global Admissions for Texas State University, will provide a brief update on activities and be available to answer any questions. Members, this item is also for information only. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you all. As she mentioned, Beverly Woodson Day. I am the co-chair of the committee for the 4-year side. We also have Laura Isdale, who's the Dean of Admission at Collin College. She is the 2-year institution co-chair. And I want to give you an update on the activities of the Applied Texas Advisory Committee today. So the purpose of the Applied Texas Advisory Committee is to discuss and vote on changes and provide recommendations that are needed for the application during the cycle. The committee also addressed additional initiatives to strengthen the student participation and access into higher education. This year, the committee met 4 times. It was November, February, April, and June. And the annual costs were minimal because the committee met virtually. So that's a good thing. So I want to give you an overview of what the committee, some of the activities of the committee. During our meetings, the committee worked collaboratively with the coordinating board and the Applied Texas team throughout the development and the redesign of the Applied Texas, which launched June 10th of 2024. The Applied Texas Advisory Committee and other stakeholders provided feedback, and that feedback was guided with a focus to improve each counselor and the institution experience. The committee discussed and shared thoughts on target communication groups and the types of communication needed to inform stakeholders of upcoming changes to the Applied Texas application. Types of the communication included technical, institution, and K-12 information. The Applied Texas Advisory Committee discussed and provided feedback on new features and functions of Applied Texas, including the EDI generation and file receipt, payment process change, connectivity to TREX, the Texas Records Exchange, new features in the admin portal, including SIP to major code mapping, rich text essay format, and also the new dual credit application. The committee provided and previewed feedback and recommendations on Applied Texas webinars. Updates to the current Applied Texas system were paused while the legacy system transitioned to the coordinating board and was redesigned. The committee discussed the following changes and requests for consideration in future application cycles. One is the custom essay option to add one of those. Also indicate the intent to transfer in Applied Texas. And then lastly, consider help content language for those students who were denied admission. All these and other notes along with the members list is attached. So that concludes my report. If there's any questions.
So the last time you met was in June, and it went live in June.
Yes.
You're going to meet again to talk about how it went.
I think they will. Yes, they will. We will do that.
Well, thank you for the work that you all have done.
I can just quickly exactly, you know, any major technology sort of redesign of this magnitude is such a challenging project. We just really appreciate the partnership with Dr. Woods and you and your colleagues on the committee, and feel like it's such a huge part of making that kind of project successful. Really appreciate the time and dedication.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. Agenda item 5K is consideration of possible action to approve receipt of fiscal year 2025 Carl B. Perkins Community and Technical Colleges Consolidated Grant mid-year reallocation funds not to exceed $10.5 million. Dr. Peter Jackson, Associate Commissioner for Workforce Education, will present this item and be able to answer any questions. Dr. Jackson.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm Tina Jackson, I serve as Assistant Commissioner of Workforce Education. Coordinating board staff requests that the board approve receipt of fiscal year 2025 Carl B. Perkins Career and Technical Education Consolidated Grant mid-year reallocation funds not to exceed $10.5 million to support post-secondary career and technical education programs and assist eligible students in technical programs. The Texas Education Agency is our state's designated eligible entity to receive the state's annual allocation of the Carl B. Perkins Career and Technical Education Funds under the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act of 2018. The State Board of Education allocates 30% of the funds to the coordinating board. For the fiscal year 2025, the consolidated grant to the coordinating board for up of $34.83 million will be supplemented by a mid-year reallocation up to $10.5 million from the previous year's fiscal year's unexpended funds. The mid-year reallocation adds to the basic award to further supplement colleges' support of career and technical education programs and eligible students. Allocation of the basic award funds to the schools and colleges is statutory requirement of the Act. And this concludes my report.
Okay. Do we have any questions? No? And can I have a motion to approve receipt of fiscal year 2025 Carl B. Perkins Community and Technical Colleges Consolidated Grant mid-year reallocation funds not to exceed $10.5 million? Motion by Mr. Anwar, second by Ms. Thomas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Agenda item 5L was approved on consent. Agenda item 5M are the request for new degree programs. Members, representatives from each institution will be available to answer questions at tomorrow's quarterly board meeting. Removing the requirement for them to attend both committee and board meetings will reduce travel times and costs for the institutions. Agenda item 5M1 is consideration and possible action to approve the request from Texas State University for a Doctor of Nursing practice at DNP. Elizabeth Newell will present this item and be available to answer questions. Texas State University is well represented today.
Texas State University is seeking approval to offer a Doctor of Nursing practice or DNP that would begin in the summer of 2025. So the postmaster's program is designed for advanced practice registered nurses seeking career advancement opportunities through doctoral education. So the program will be offered online with required virtual or on-campus intensives at scheduled interviews throughout the program. Students who opt for the virtual intensive may finish the program completely online. The School of Nursing will seek accreditation for that DNP program from the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. The target audience for postmaster's DNP programs are nurses seeking career advancement. The proposed program offers a track in executive leadership for nurse administrators and a track in executive practice for APRNs. Graduates may also pursue faculty positions. Employment projections from the Bureau of Labor Statistics as well as the Texas Workforce Commission show a stable job market with above average growth expected for nurse practitioners and post-secondary nurses. In accordance with the institution's proposed hiring schedule, the institution will hire 8 faculty in the first 5 years of implementation, including 2 in year 1 1 in year 2, 4 in year 3, and 1 in year 4. And that concludes my remarks on this program.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Mayor? If not, can I have a motion to approve the request from Texas State University for a Doctor of Nursing practice? Motion by Ms. Thomas, second by Dr. Padilla. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Please speak up. Agenda item 5M2 is consideration and possible action to approve the request from Texas State University for a Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering. Elizabeth Mayer will present this item and be available to answer questions. Ms. Mayer.
Texas State University is seeking approval to offer a Doctor of Philosophy degree or a PhD program in electrical engineering that would begin in the fall of 2025. The proposed program would be innovative by integrating technological mastery, leadership, creativity, effective communication, and entrepreneurship to prepare graduates for a diverse professional landscape. The program would be offered face-to-face to students in 10 markets. Applicants with a BS or MS in electrical engineering or closely related fields are the target population for the program. The institution intends for the proposed program to be the first in the state to merge the practical application and theoretical foundation of electrical and computer engineering with entrepreneurship and commercialization capabilities. Employment projections from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Texas Workforce Commission show a positive employment growth from 2021 to 2031 for electrical engineers. In accordance with the institution's proposed hiring schedule, the institution will hire 7 core faculty in the first 5 years of implementation for a total of 13 new faculty members for the program. That concludes my remarks on the program.
Any questions? Okay, so I have a motion to approve the request from Texas State University for a Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering. Motion by Dr. Wong, second by Mr. Anwar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Okay, agenda item 5N is lunch, but I believe we're going to be ready our food. Agenda item 5O are the proposed rules. Agenda items 5O1 and 2 were approved on consent. Agenda item 503 is consideration of possible action to adopt the new board rules, chapter 2, subchapter O, section 2.350 to 2.358, concerning approval process and the required reporting for self-supporting disease programs. The mayor will present this item and be available to answer any questions.
The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board proposes adoption of new rules in Title 19, Part 1, Chapter 2, Subchapter O, Section 2.350 to 2.358, approval process and required reporting for self-supporting degree programs. So as you all know, we have spent considerable time since October 2022 reviewing and amending our program approval rules. So this is really a piece of that ongoing project. And as I mentioned previously, I'm going to do an update on transfer. I will also be doing a program approval update tomorrow as well. But I just want to let you know that these proposed rules are a part of that bigger project. So I'm going to go ahead and begin by providing some just general context regarding program approval funding models. So degree program funding models are the mechanism by which an institution acquires funding to support a new or existing academic degree program. There are 2 funding models that are relevant for these rules: self-supporting and formula funded. Self-supporting courses and programs are credit courses, certificates, and degree programs whose semester credit hours are not submitted for formula funding and which are funded through the assessment of student fees by the institution. A formula funded course is a 4-credit course for which an institution is authorized to submit semester credit hours or the equivalent for formula funding. Historically, self-supporting courses and programs were integrated into the distance education goal. This no longer makes sense given that many self-supporting programs are offered at institutions and not necessarily offered through distance education. This rule update creates a new subchapter dedicated specifically to self-supporting programs regardless of the modality or the location. These rules clarify the criteria that are required. An institution of higher education enrolling students in self-supporting course or program shall ensure that programs are meeting the same standards and quality for accreditation, use of each instructional site, academic support services, and selecting and evaluating classes. Approval of self-supporting programs and tracks has also been clarified in the proposed rules. A public, community, or technical college, university, or health-related institution may request from the coordinating board approval to offer a degree program or track under the self-supporting status in its application materials for the proposed program. The determination of self-supporting status will be approved according to the same approval levels required for the proposed new program approval outlined in Chapter 2. Changes to degree program funding models will include, but are not limited to, changing the degree program funding model from self-supporting to formula funding or vice versa. The addition of a new or removal of an existing self-supporting or formula funding degree track. In addition to this, the rule also includes reporting requirements for programs utilizing this funding model. And that concludes my remarks on this rule.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Do we have any questions? If not, can I have a motion to adopt new board rule chapter 2, subchapter O, sections 2.350 to 2.358, concerning the approval process and required reporting for self-supporting degree programs. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Thomas, second by Mr. Anwar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda items 504 through 7 were approved on consent. Agenda item 508 is consideration and possible action to adopt proposed amendments and new sections to board rules, chapter 12, subchapter 8, sections 12.3, 12.5, 12.7, 12.8, and 12.10 to 12.12, concerning the Opportunity High School Diploma degree program. The director will present this item and be available to answer any questions. Welcome, Ms. Wright.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members. Really happy to be with you today. Lee Rector, Associate Commissioner for Workforce Education. So I'm going to start with a bit of context and we will do your April action on this program. And the context is a fairly sobering fact. Over 3 million Texans do not have a high school diploma. And this is a challenge not only to those individuals, to their families, to employers, and to the state's economy. So the primary goal of the Opportunity High School Diplomas is to address this challenge by increasing the number of Texans who have high school diplomas and opening opportunities through which those individuals can achieve additional post-secondary success as well as workforce success. So during your April meeting, you adopted rules to establish the Opportunity High School Diploma. And you may recall this is a competency-based diploma for individuals who are 18 years or older, who do not have a high school diploma, and who are also enrolled in the workforce education program. So today, given that context, I'm going to provide an overview of the amendments before you today. The amendments in these sections, and they provide additional guidance on aspects of the program that are required for implementation. And we expect implementation to begin this fall and this winter. So key amendments include updated definitions, the type of career and technical education programs that are permissible for concurrent enrollment purposes, the reporting requirements for institutions. The new sections provide additional information on application processes for institutions who wish to offer the diploma program. They include the instructional outcomes and performance expectations that institutions will be required to build their curriculum around in those 5 core competency areas that you may recall are quantitative reasoning, scientific reasoning, civics, communication, and workplace success skills. It will detail the assessments that must be used by institutions to determine student achievement, both as for prior learning and program completion. They establish ongoing review and revision of the programs as well as replication guidelines. So subcommittee posting in the Texas Register, we've incorporated a couple of amendments amendments into the rules that you're considering for adoption today. Two sections, 12.5C and 12.11C1 have been changed to reflect an updated URL address where the instructional objectives and performance expectations are found. And then the assessment figure that's contained in section 12.5D4 was updated due to technical amendments. And that concludes my comments, and happy to answer questions.
Just for clarification, the institutions that might adopt this degree program, you're anticipating TEA?
Yes, these are for two-year institutions.
Okay, because sometimes TEA, higher education and workforce kind of overlap. It's a high school program.
It is, and it, in statute and rule, it can be offered by a public junior college. And it has the same standing as a high school diploma that is conferred by a high school in Texas. But the diploma is conferred by the community college.
Okay. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the proposed amendments and new sections to board rules, chapter 12, subchapter A, sections 12.3, 12.5, 12.7, 12.8, and 12.10 to 12.12 concerning the Opportunity High School Diploma Program? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Wong, second by Ms. Thomas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Agenda item 509 is consideration and possible action to adopt proposed amendments to board rules, chapter 22, subchapter O, section 22.301 and 22.310 concerning the Texas Leadership Research Scholars Program. Dr. Janelle Crowther, Assistant Commissioner for Student Success, will present this item and be available to answer questions.
The Texas Leadership Research Scholars Program is a research, scholarship, and leadership opportunity program for high-achieving doctoral students that have demonstrated financial need. In April, you all passed rules to administer the program. Since then, I'm pleased to announce we have had institutions participating, and we have enrolled our first cohort this fall with 71 research scholars. The proposed amendments for your consideration help provide clarity for institutions participating. 22.301 clarifies that general academic institutions are eligible to participate in addition to public research and emerging research institutions. 22.310 outlined how the allocation of the initial awards will be determined between eligible institutions. This section also identifies the data source that we will use to determine the share of each institution's share of awarded doctoral degrees, and it is the National Science Foundation's annual survey of earned doctorates. This section also clarifies that if there is insufficient funding to award more than 75 initial scholarships, those awards will be split between research and emerging research institutions. We did not receive any comments during the 30-day public comment period. This concludes my remarks.
Do you have any questions for Dr. Strauber? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt proposed amendments to board rules, chapter 22, subchapter O, sections 22.301 and 22.310 concerning the Texas Leadership Research Scholars Program? Motion by Mr. Anwar, and second by Ms. Thomas. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. The motion passes. Agenda item 6 is adjournment. If there's no further motion, discussion, I have a motion to adjourn. Comments by Mr. Anwar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. I'll pass it to Dr. Padilla.
Okay, so at this point, we have to take lunch at this point due to the posting. So the agency operation committee will begin at 12 noon. So at this time, we return until 12 noon, and that's when we'll take up the agency operation. Thank you.